welcome to Enlighten, where we talk about creative consecration through Christ. So happy to be here with you today. My name's Eva Timothy, and we study the scriptures through art, and studying the scriptures is such a joy. So excited to be with you here today. And we are pondering today many wonderful things. The Spirit will guide us and lead us to what needs to be said, which I always love that. Truly, it is so wonderful. I am so excited. We will be talking about, we'll continue to talk about family. This month of August has been the month of family, and I love all the different ideas and thoughts and wonderful stories that have been shared so far, and we're basically wrapping up the theme of family together, and how amazing it is to bask in that beautiful concept of family and learn from the scriptures. And today we're talking a little bit more about like discipleship and our offering to the Lord as mothers, as women, as grandmothers, and what does that look like in our lives, and how can we be better builders of the kingdom of God, and what actually does that mean as well. So excited to be with you here today, and I love how much people watch this later as well, or listen to it, so you can find it on YouTube or on any other podcast platform. So that's also really fun because you can listen later and share it with your friends, and it's so exciting. All right, I'm gonna grab I have two really amazing friends that are gonna join us today, and I'm so excited because they're both have beautiful families, and they love to talk about families, and they love Jesus, and so it's gonna be fun. And we're excited for your comments, so feel free to comment where you're watching from, and so excited to have you join in the conversation. This is always such a great time to ponder, to take an hour out of our busy days and lives midweek to enlighten our hearts and souls, to seek Jesus, to seek his light so we can reflect his light to others. And it's just so exciting. All right, I'm gonna grab my two cute friends and dive in, and we love to hear from you as well as our conversation is going. So Rebecca!
Hello.
Hello. So fun. I can't wait. Oh,
Hi.
I love it when friends come on here that know each other. This is the best.
Oh, I love seeing Candy.
Rebecca,
It's been like
it
two
is
and a half
so good.
years.
I know. How are you? And I've lost my voice, and I'm in my car because my speaker broke. But Rebecca, I miss you so much. It's so good to see
Oh,
you.
thank you. Well, I'm doing well here in Colombia. We actually have sunshine, which is great on a day
Good.
like today. We're a real high altitude at about 8,500 feet above sea level, so we get a lot of rain. So it's a beautiful day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yay. Well, I wish I could give you a hug. I miss you so
Oh,
much. It's so good to see your
too.
face.
Well, this is
You look
such a fun
beautiful.
thing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Eva, thank you for having us. You
Yeah,
are such an example to us. So, what a delight to be here and talk about Jesus and
so
family.
true.
Right back at you. In
Yes.
fact, I was so excited. I've been giddy because I know you're good friends, and we're all good friends on here because we love Jesus,
We
and we
are.
get to talk about family today, and motherhood, and being women that love Christ and country. And I know you're two great patriots. We share that love as well. So it's
We
awesome.
do.
It just couldn't get
Yes.
better.
Yeah.
Yes.
No
So
question.
please tell everyone on here a little bit about yourselves. Some of them may already know you, but I know people watch this later or listen later, and it would be so fun for them to learn about you and where you're joining us from.
Great. I'm going to let Annie start.
Oh, well, Rebecca has a lot more interesting situation over what she's doing, but I'm actually just from Salt Lake, and um, let's see, I have three little boys, and I went to grad school at BYU. I also went to undergrad at the U, so I kind of bleed both colors. Let's see, I I mean, my life is, it's just, yeah. And then I started an Instagram account a couple of years ago, and it was supposed to just be like quotes and uplifting stories and things like that. But then it kind of evolved into something else. And so it's kind of both. And I've met some amazing people through that I never thought I could even meet. And it's become such a great outlet of creativity, and friendship. So, Eva, I do really love your work. And I just, like, even when we talked for 2 seconds yesterday, I was actually in Walmart. I was like, oh my gosh, she just like has this overflow of, like, I've never met you in person, but it like makes me actually just cry. I'm like, she just has this light about her. So I feel
Oh,
very fortunate to even just have met you too. So it is really cool how you can use Instagram as a way. And I've been meeting with the church on a lot of things too, like going to their events and with their social media group. And it's so cool to use this as an outlet for missionary work like Rebecca's doing, and just to advertise the church, because what a great way to show the truth and the light and the gospel. So that's just a little brief blurb of me. And I love cooking too, and I went to culinary school. So those are just kind of a few little
oh
things
yeah.
about me.
I
But
just I just went to culinary school. Oh my goodness. That's
no,
great.
just probably people see recipes and they're probably like, why does she have all these recipes on her thing? But anyway, so anyway, that's it.
That's
Annie,
amazing.
oh, we love watching you cook and how you make things simple. That's what we all need. Culinary sounds
Yeah,
complicated. The
just
way you do
easy.
it is simple.
I make it as easy as possible because I just like things easy too. But yeah.
Oh,
That's
you're
so
darling.
great.
You have such a gift to see beauty, to put beauty and style together. I love your style and
Oh.
your eye. It's so amazing to see that. And your cute boy. I love seeing him at Walmart yesterday. I saw him for a second. He was like waving at me. Oh,
Yeah.
he's so cute.
Oh,
It's
handsome.
We
He's
need each
really
other. We
fun.
need each other to speak
We
truth.
Yes,
We need
do.
each other. So this
it's
is
so
awesome.
true.
So
We
grateful you could be
do.
here.
We do. Well, I'll just quickly, I've introduced myself before. My name's Rebecca Frederick. My husband and I were both born in the Midwest. We ended up in the same neighborhood when we were 6 and 7, and we married. We have 8 children, 5 of whom are married, 3 of whom are single. We are passionate about faith. We are passionate about family. We're passionate about building community and friendship and connections within community. We are serving as mission leaders in the Columbia Bogota South Mission. So our family's huge right now. We have had, probably 400 missionaries work through here, and we love them like our own. And it is a gift. It is a privilege to be out here, and we are seeing miracles every day. So every time I get on here, I just want to make sure people know this is so real, and the Spirit is so strong, and He is with us in holy work. And I think one of the holiest things we can be doing is mothering, whether it's our own children or others. And I've spent a lot of years loving my own children, but I have spent a lot of years loving other people's children. And I feel passionate about that.
Oh, oh, I love it. I already feel like the spirit and the beauty of us being gathered in His name. It is so
I
amazing. It
know.
I know. I think the same
truly
thing. I think,
is.
who knows where this will go today? We've got all sorts of thoughts, but we'll let the Spirit guide us.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. You are so darling, and I love seeing building up the kingdom on a grand scale like you, Rebecca, right now, and also like Annie and I, like in the families. We have 3 children too, and it's like he's in the
Oh,
grand big things like a mission and mission leaders,
oh,
and also in the small little things
Yes.
of just
Oh,
like
yeah.
we
feeding
see it.
breakfast every day or driving the kids to school, and I'm so excited he's in both. He does. We
Yeah.
can build up his kingdom in both ways, and it's so beautiful that
You
it's
know,
just different seasons in lives.
it is, and I will never forget when President Nelson talked about the gathering of Israel and how anything we do to bring people closer to Christ enables us to gather Israel. And I was in the throes of crazy. I had 8 and 10.5 years. And I remember so distinctly knocking on my teenage son's doors early to go to church. And I remember the Spirit just said so loudly, this is part of gathering. It's not being on the mission. It's not leading a mission. It is waking up a child at 7:45 and saying, you can do it. Let's get up. Let's get to church. We'll make yummy pancakes when we get home. You can get where you
Well,
need to be.
well, and the thing about Rebecca is, and like I'm just crying just because I get to even just like see and be with her right now because I love her and I look up to her so much. But there is something about Rebecca. I can't even imagine what those sisters out there are feeling from you, Rebecca, and the elders and just all of that community there, because you have this like amazing gift of light and just you're like a magnet. People are just drawn to you and they just kind of want like, I just want more. I want more. I want more because she just has this way about her. She's so bright. She's so well spoken. She's beautiful. And she just knows the truth. And you just want to be with her. And like, I actually remember seeing her at Walmart one random day and I just wanted to like tell her my life story because I just wanted to learn from her. And I can't even imagine. I remember when my parents were mission presidents in Texas, it was just they just look up to their mission president, and I can't even imagine what these missionaries are doing with you, Rebecca. I bet they are so thrilled. You're probably like a celebrity to them
No.
in the best way. Like, and and I think when you told me you're going on a mission, I'm like, oh my gosh, you are going to be fantastic. So I can't even imagine what they're feeling from you. What a gift for all of them to have you there.
Honey, I love you.
I'm serious, but we really miss you here, so we're excited for you to come back.
I love you.
I'm really close to your house right now.
I shouldn't say that, but we're getting excited.
Eva, I've been researching about your paintings and the coolest. Can you just kind of tell so that my followers know too, like a little bit about like how you got inspired to make these beautiful photography? So is it all photography that you tell me a little bit about it because I wanted my followers to understand too.
Yeah, so I create with God's help photo paintings. So I do
That's what it
use,
is. Yes.
yeah. So I use my photographs and then I paint. So it's kind of, you have both at the same time, so they look very
So
realistic.
cool.
And it started during COVID. My whole family was at home. So my children, my daughter, my two boys, my husband, we're all heavily involved because we had each other. And this horrible thing happened in the world, but our schedules brought us together. And so out of hard things, a good thing came out of, which beauty for ashes. And I think this is kind of interesting how God works when we felt like so crippled in some ways. And yet he's like, oh, no, there's work for you to do. And I think that actually leads so much into our conversation of using our gifts too, in that, because we all have them. And it's so beautiful that we all have them and that we can use them for him, that we can glorify him and bless others with those gifts. And I hope that answers your question, Annie.
Yeah, it does. I love them. They're so cool. I love them.
If you guys want to, I was thinking to start with the piece because I learned so much from creating this piece. And I think the Lord taught me so much in this moment that maybe we'll start here and then we can go, because that leads right into the talk and anything you would love to share. But I know some people don't know the backstory of this piece, and I feel like the Lord was teaching me, and he was chastising me and reproving, like he's telling me, you can do better, you can do so much better, and you can have a better attitude. And our house is like from the 1800s. It was actually, the foundation is from literally before the church was organized, 1800s. Wow. So it's an old colonial, and a lot of work that continually has to be done. It's always a project in the making. But we have 3 floors, so I'm on the attic. I have a little space where I found that I can have a little bit of peace up there. And I was just working and creating this piece, actually. And I was pondering how it is as mothers, we have all these different hats. It was actually a talk I had heard a long time ago by Joy D. Jones, and she was talking about that, how we as mothers, we wear different hats. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so true. And sometimes we wear all these hats before noon, like literally. We happen to keep switching them so quickly, like even right before noon has hit. And you have the adventure hat, you have the nurse hat, You have the teacher hats, the learning hats. This could study. This could represent many different aspects of it, whether you're teaching the children or you're learning yourself or both. And the queen, right? Because we are to become queens. And the chef, Annie, that's definitely you.
It's Rebecca too. She's a good cook.
Yeah, both of you. That's like the pro. You guys are the pros of that. That's just so amazing. And the driver hat, these both are. This was more of like a pilot, and this is more of a taxi driver. But this idea that we have these hats that we're constantly putting on and taking off, and it can get very overwhelming. And I was working on the piece, and all of a sudden I had Nathan Pacheco on in my little room up there, and our ceiling is actually kind of in that shape. So I would get up from my computer, and sometimes I would hit my head, and it keeps me humble because of the shape of the ceiling. And I would be like, oh my gosh. Anyway, I have to so often remember I have the ceiling up there, right there. But it's cute, and I love that the Lord comes and visits me in that little space, like that little place on the third floor, that His Spirit can come and help me and guide me. And I was kind of in the zone, one of those moments, maybe you felt it like cooking or writing or creating, doing anything creative or pondering or studying the scriptures or writing a letter by hand or creating an email, but whatever, right? And I was in the muse, and then all of a sudden I heard from downstairs, Mom! And they just like beckoning me. I'm like, oh, no, not right now. I'm thinking, turn up my music. I'm like, I'm not going down right now. This is my time. This is my moment. And so soon after that, it was like, Mom! It was double the strength, and I could not say anything to that. And so I remember I was really grumpy coming down all those sets of stairs, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I just want to do my thing right now. Why do I have to go and do something that the kids need me to do? And it happened to me, they were hungry. I mean, this happened years ago, like 6 years ago. But anyway, they were hungry and they wanted food. And so I'm starting to cook. I'm starting to switch gears. And the Lord keeps teaching me, stop being grumpy. This is not your only creative outlet. You are about to feed how to build up the kingdom. You stop being grumpy and wanting to do your thing, right? Because you are actually doing my thing both times. You're still doing my thing. You think it's your thing, but you're actually doing my thing in both of those situations. And you're feeding my children and your children. And so it was such a lesson to me to see how our offering to the Lord can look and can take many different faces, like it could be many different instances. And I just remember that the Lord saying, don't just think it's just one thing. Don't just think that's the only way you could be creative and you can be building my kingdom. You can cook, and you can feed these mouths, and you can have a good conversation around the table. And it was just such a reminder that there's so many different ways and different hats, right, that can bring us to the same purpose that God has for us. And so often we get caught, at least I do. And it's difficult because we're so concentrating on this one thing or this one finishing of a goal or this one achievement or this one thing that's going to be so awesome, or this one book that could be finished, or whatever our tasks are, that we sometimes forget that it's really the heart that matters, and it's the offering of realizing it's all God's work. It is all for Him, and no small effort is small. Like whether we're feeding a child or driving them in the car and having a conversation or forgiving them in the moment, or it just was a wake up call for me. It's like, you gotta think celestial, right? Like our prophet was saying, there's so many different ways to build up the kingdom. And so many of those different hats that we wear, they all matter. They all contribute to that. They're not just little things we do so we can also do God. But it's like God is in all of those things that we do. God is in all of those hats. Just it switches things around. It's any thoughts you have on that?
Well, I just always think of this thought that both things can be true. And I love when you talk about the Lord expects us to magnify ourselves in so many different ways. And when I see that photo, and I'm sure Annie feels this way because you are in the throes of it, this is such a huge part of parenting. If we have any fathers out there listening, and mothering, is that we're constantly balancing. And I love what Elder Bednar has said in the past. It just is kind of baloney to think that there's ever a total life balance. What we have to do is quit worrying and concentrating on one thing at a time. So that when I am cooking or helping with homework, I'm in that moment. We can't get so caught up with the spinning of plates because you can't keep them all spinning. We have to be able to know that both are true. Many things are equally important. What deserves our focus right now? That's what I think of when I see that. How about you, Annie?
Yeah, I also feel like, I don't know if you guys feel this too about your kids or even like a prophet or apostle. Like I think of Elder Nelson when, or President Nelson, when he was the surgeon, and then so randomly, I mean, not randomly, but so miraculously, we have COVID. And then we have this amazing doctor that's the leader of our church during that time. And then I look at like kind of just how even my Instagram was formed, like so random that I was an elementary school teacher, and but then I had to move to Boston, and so I randomly did culinary school. And at the time, I'm like, why am I doing culinary school? This is so weird. Like, I am a teacher. I got my master's degree in nonprofit work and teaching, and and then why am I working at Abercrombie and Fitch for 1 month when it opened up in City Creek? Like I don't, just like very random. Why did I work at Ann Taylor? Why for that summer when I need to earn money when I was in high school? Just all these little random things. And it's like, I did wear all these hats, right? But then now as I, it was such a blessing actually for me because I was a single mom at a time and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and God knew that. And I think that is so cool that I now can create recipes for Instagram. I now can make money on Instagram and be a stay-at-home mom and be with my kids so that I don't have to leave them. So I think it's just those hats that we wear. There's so many cool analogies you can make with it. And Eva, your picture just like blew me away because I've been feeling that way where I'm like, am I even doing a good job at one of these hats? You know what I mean? Like, do you guys ever feel like that where you're just like, gosh, I have one kid in high school, one toddler at home, and then one kid at elementary school. And then I'm like, I have my husband who's a doctor, his schedule is crazy. And it's like, am I being like a good wife, sister, daughter, mother? Is my Instagram like, I don't get to see my friends that I've created on Instagram as much as I want to. Like, I'm just like, I hope I'm doing a good job at any of these hats, right? But then I did love this talk because I feel like, just like Rebecca said, you really can't do a good job at all of these things at once. But and you can feel so overwhelmed, Eva. Like that's happened so many times. Like just last night in the middle of the night, Sammy's crying at 2 a.m, and I don't want to go get him because I'm tired and I'm 45 and I'm like, I'm too old to be a mom, right? Like to a baby right now. But it's like, but when you think back and you're like, well, what's the why? Why am I doing this? Why am I? And those little tiny moments of like, I sometimes I just hold Sammy because it was such a miracle to get him here, and I look at it and I'm like, you are a miracle. Why I am being so bratty? Why am I even complaining that I have to get up to be with this amazing miracle that I prayed for 6 years or whatever? And it's just this reality of check of like these experiences were truly all gifts to me to create like this perfect setup because God knew all my crazy dynamics in my life and that I would be able to like make all this happen, and all those little things happen, just like our prophet President Nelson was a surgeon, and I'm sure God knew like COVID would hit and we would be able to have him lead us at that time. So, and I think of even just like Rebecca and like all of these amazing things she's done for the community that I live in, and this legacy that she's leaving here for all of us, and this amazing example. And now she gets to go wear all those hats for Columbia and like show all of those talents to those sisters and others there. And so I think, but it can be so overwhelming. But I do know that when I have those like, but it's like, how do we reset back into becoming Christ centered instead of maybe worldly centered or getting bogged down by all of it? Because we do live in a time where like I think we are just expected to wear a lot of hats. We can't just wear like the mom hat all the, you know what I mean? Do you guys feel like that too?
Yeah. The one thing I would say though, Annie, too, that I love is that
Mm-hmm.
everything builds on the next. It's
True.
such a journey of becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
the wonderful part, is that we are strengthened by the Lord. We're never doing it by ourselves. And like you said, He knows us better than anyone else. He
Mm-hmm.
knows our journey. He will increase our capacity. He will magnify us, and He will take the tools as long as you're moving towards Him and the gifts that you've created, and help you become this amazing woman who's
Mm-hmm.
increased in capacity and in ability to be the most magnificent woman and mother you can be. That's the beautiful journey of becoming. That's why we're here. We're here to have hard things. We're here to feel jolted. We're here to have things not always go our way. But all these little experiences and the hats that we've worn or developed build upon another, and they become this perfect thing. And I know that we're talking about Uchtdorf's talk, but do you mind, Eva, if I just share? I had this experience when I was praying about this, and it hit me so hard. I reflected on a talk from Brad Wilcox given years ago,
I love him.
2011,
Mm-hmm.
Grace. And I am such a believer in that the only way we can become the women and the mothers that the Lord needs us to be is through atonement. And we talk so often about atonement in a sense of redemption and not enabling. And
Mhm.
I feel like the only way I've been able to work through challenges, work through pivots, work through discouragement is through the enabling power of the atonement. And grace that makes all the difference. And I just to share one thing that he talks about in terms of not understanding grace, not understanding balancing all of the hats, in that there's not just two options.
Yeah.
Sometimes we feel like the only options are being perfect, wearing all the hats, doing all the things, or giving up. And some people have a magnificent capacity and ability to wear more hats than others. And we have to be gentle with ourselves. There are not just two options. It's not wearing a million hats or giving up. It's feeling like we can do both. And Elder Wilcox talks about, if you're a pianist, is it either Carnegie Hall or quitting? No, it's
It's
about
good.
growth. It's about becoming. It's about development. It's about seasons. It's about building on our challenges and our successes and learning. And that takes time. That takes time. So I just think, if nothing else, when I look at the visual of those hats, I think to ourselves, we need to give ourselves grace as women and as mothers, because we live in a more challenging day than we ever have. The wonderful part about being a woman today is that we have opportunity, more opportunity to be more things and wear more hats than we ever have in the history of womanhood. But that comes with challenges. That comes with distractions. And I think that part of what the Lord asks us to do is figure out how to prioritize Him and His grace through the atonement, through the enabling power of the atonement, so we can understand which hat is most important in which moment, and how to focus on that one hat in that moment, and then move on, and never be striving for perfection. Never be striving to do it all, because I think there is some fallacy in that we just can't. certain times. So I just loved this talk. I would just encourage everybody to go back to it, because the Lord's strength is perfect in our weakness. And the Savior's gift of grace is there for us always. And I don't think we can be a woman or a parent or a mother or a professional this day and age without our Lord's atonement and his enabling power. And it makes us mighty, but also because we're all doing things that don't matter, and we're all doing things that do matter. And so every day we have to pray for that gift of discernment, and we receive that through our Savior's grace, through the atonement.
Wow, it makes me think so much of our prophet telling us we should study the atonement every week for the rest of our lives. So we're doing it right now. I love this. This is such an important point of the enabling power. And we can ask for strength, right? Like we can
Every day.
always be asking him and making him part of our daily lives. I feel like it's not like prayer could be while you're walking. In fact, I'm actually really good at praying when I'm walking. I feel like when I walk, I can talk to God better than when
I
I just
love
sit
it.
on my knees.
Or in your car, like Annie. I mean,
Yes,
that's another
Yes.
great place. I
yes.
know.
It's
I mean, it's so true. And it really segues into this heartfelt all by Elder Uchtdorf, where the widow's mite. And Eva, why don't you kind of give us the backstop, but the backstory for this. But it is so true that we all have different challenges. We all have different capacities. We all have different situations. And Annie said it. Some of us are married. Some of us are single. Some of us have children. Some of us desire to have children. Some of us have faith. Some of us are struggling. And it's this idea that our offering is different, but it is no less valuable. The Lord knows our heart. I mean, this is, as you segue into this talk about Elder Uchtdorf.
yes, that is so beautiful. And I love that Annie was talking about like holding your baby that you wanted so much, like just that gratitude. And
Absolutely.
remembering that that's so important. Yeah, let's actually read those verses in Mark, because I think there's just beauty in here with the widow's mite that I believe we can all learn from. And it's exactly with what you're sharing, both of you, that you're saying, both Annie and Rebecca. I think it's even the very beginning. So we're in Mark 12, verse 41. I love these opening words of setting up this idea of the widow's mite. And every time I read them, I kind of tear up. I don't know. I just get so emotional. Just the very beginning of the story. Because it's just so tender of Jesus actually intentionally, deliberately sitting there against, it says, and Jesus sat over against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury. That just, I don't know, this visual image of him actually deliberately thinking, I'm going to stop right now and I'm going to watch people and see how they give. And I think he does that in our lives. He is there watching us. How do we give? Like, where is our heart? And I think this is such a beautiful lesson of, as we go through life, to remember he's right by us. Like, he is our strength. He is our everything in life, and he cares about the heart. He cares where's our heart the most. It's not about the quality, it's more about the quantity of our offering. And we can all do that. There's no circumstances that can deprive us from giving with our heart. And I just love that. I think just this opening of this story just has my heart of how beautiful Jesus is. And let me get Annie back in here. I don't know.
And while
Um,
you're doing that, somebody was asking which talk, and I'll just remind people it is called Our Heartfelt All by Elder Uchtdorf. So if you
yes.
just want to refer to that, we're talking about that. And then I just referred to Brad Wilcox's talk, Grace is Sufficient. His Grace is Sufficient in 2011. And we're going to miss our Annie for a minute.
Yes, I am trying to. See if
And
I
as
can grab her
as
again.
you do that, I'll fill in just so that we have a minute. It says here in this talk by Elder Uchtdorf, and you spoke so much about the heart and the Lord looking on the heart. And to the Lord, in quotes, the value of the donation was measured not by the effect it had on the treasury, but by the effect it had on the heart of the donor. And I just love that idea because it's not, again, the amount, but it's our hearts, what we're feeling to give, which is a reminder about what we talked about earlier. We're all born with different spiritual gifts. That is the promised blessing. And part of our responsibility is identifying those and often magnifying those if we find an opportunity, like Annie was saying about, oh, I'm going to go to culinary school. Oh, I'm going to work here for a summer. I mean, that is part of developing the gifts that the Lord has given us. But He sees the true nature of our hearts and how that gift affects our hearts. So I love that from that talk. The Lord
Yes.
is also on the effect.
Yes, effect of the giver of that offering, right? Like
Mhm.
that's where he's looking at. And I just pondering Jesus, he's sitting there watching how the people give. And this story is so beautiful. And at verse 41, it says, and Jesus sat over against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury. And many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which were a farthing. And he called unto him his disciples and said unto them, verily I say unto you, that this poor widow has cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. And not, I mean, this is why he's going to tell us that, because I'm sure there were some rich people there that they gave a lot and they contributed a lot because they gave it with their heart, and it's so wonderful and so amazing. But this is why he's saying these specific people that he had witnessed earlier. He said, for they did cast in of their abundance. I think this is so interesting that they just had so much. It meant not much to them to give a little bit of that, right? Because they had so much. But she, out of her want, that cast in all that she had, even all her living. And again, is this idea of the heart. And I think we have those 2 mites moments when we are giving our whole heart, talking to a child. We are giving our heartfelt all in these moments. That is our offering to the Lord. I'm going to pour out my whole heart in that moment, speaking to my child and trying to explain the situation, trying to bring truth into light, and trying to persuade, to help, to forgive, to apologize. I think those could be all moments of giving our heart, our 2 mites in these different situations in our lives that we're constantly living in, that are so inseparable of our Savior and of our God. Life is to be lived with Him. This is not just we go to church on Sunday, okay, I'm done with you, God. That's
Yeah,
it. It's not even just morning and evening prayer. It's so much more than that. And it's this communication and this talking with Him and connecting with Him, and having Him as our best friend that's by our side. And there's so much beauty when our heart is open to Him wholeheartedly, right? Our all, like we give our all to Him.
absolutely. And if we are aligned and doing what He wants us to do, every offering is heartfelt. Every offering, no matter how small, how big. And I feel that so strongly as I'm now raising children going into adulthood. It's a little bit of a strange day to live in because comparison is a bit of a thief of joy. And we're seeing other people with grand offerings, whether it's financially, creatively, physically, and it is so often to feel a little bit downtrodden and feel like I don't have enough. But it is most often the quiet conversation in the bedroom. It's most often the walk around the block at 10 p.m. with a child who's hurting. It's most often showing up at church and sitting with the one who's alone. Those are the offerings as mothers, as women, as parents that the Lord looks upon with such gratitude. That is where the grace is. So I think it's a good reminder that these hats look big sometimes and overwhelming, and you think to yourself, I'm not even a college graduate. How can I do that? Or I've never been to culinary school. But it's the small, small offerings that the Lord looks on with such gratitude that are part of our becoming who he needs us to be. It is not the grand gestures, although those are fantastic as well. So thank you for pointing that out, Eva. I think that's such a just a beautiful reminder that it's important that we don't get overwhelmed, and that we don't try to do too much, and that we remember the small widows. Um, Elder, oh, we're so glad you're back,
Sorry, you
Annie.
guys. I'm so sorry.
Hooray. No. We're so glad you're back. I was just going to
Sorry,
point
you
out.
guys.
No, I was just going to point out one last line from Elder Uchtdorf's talk, where I think this is what happens when we compare our might with the grand gift of others at the temple. What happens is that we think that we always have competing interests. And he says, perhaps our challenge in life is that we think balance means dividing our time evenly amongst these competing interests, amongst these different hats. And it is not so. Back to what Elder Bednar said, there's no way that we can do everything perfectly. That is not what we're asked to do. That has never been the Lord's ask. And that's such a great balance or reminder that we need to balance our life. It's just not easy. It's not easy. We need to be able to kind of reflect on the good, better, best, and what we're doing in any significant time. And I love, Eva, your story about being with a child by their bedside at night. Sometimes it's the smallest things that help us be most holy in that moment. And that offering is what the Lord wants us to give in that moment.
That is so beautiful. Annie, do you have any thoughts that you wanted to share from the talk, or anything you would love to
Oh,
share
this
with
was
us?
so good. I just feel so fortunate to be here with you guys today, and I just feel like what Rebecca's saying is so true. It's not even like those big checklist marks of like whatever, any goal or whatever in that hat that you need to like earn. It really is just, I love on this photo, Eva, that you have a picture of a crown. I love that because I was thinking like truly we all are daughters of Heavenly Father, and we truly have the ability to be, I mean, the options are endless, right? And it as we live our lives and we wear these hats and we try to strive to be whatever it is we're trying to be in that day, that year. I love that through all those random hats that I try to wear, sometimes it's even like, okay, I'm the garbage mom hat right now. I'm changing the poopy diaper hat right now. I'm like the cleaning lady right now. I mean, I was laughing. I ran into this lady and I was like literally cleaning out smushed goldfish out of my car, the mat, I was like cleaning those out when I was at the car wash the other day, and it's like, this is what I'm doing. It's all over my shirt. Here I am. But you know what? If you can, I think the point that really resonated with me overall with this talk, and that I actually saw a lot in my mom growing up, is that like, I just love that even when she was picking me up from East High, or maybe it was like a night where I had a hard night with my friends in high school, or maybe it was like not making it on the team of whatever. I'll never forget like her just always feeling like she would love me no matter what. And she wasn't judging me, and I was just there for her to just be there with me and just like sit in those hard moments. And even since I've been an adult and I've been a mom myself, I just am so grateful for her giving me that grace that Rebecca was talking about, and not judging me for not wearing a hat that maybe she wished I was or wasn't wearing. Like, I have worn the divorce hat, and that's not happy. I'm not like proud of that, but I also feel like sometimes we wear hats we don't want to wear. Like sometimes there's hats that we didn't want to put on.
Mhm.
And I'm just grateful that our gospel has a plan to use the atonement. Like, I love that, Rebecca, and get out of those hard situations that we don't want to be in, that we need to change from, that we need God's love and grace through. And I am very grateful to have a mother that was so Christ-like and still is so Christ-like in those moments of like where she was very proud of me, and maybe where she was like, wow, this is a hard thing to go through with you, but I am going to be here for you, and I'm going to love you the same as I did when the hat you were wearing was a really happy hat versus a really hard hat. And so I just feel like um, there's just so many cool analogies, and I found a lot of other quotes from some other, like I found this really cute quote from Hinckley's wife. I hope I can find it. I had it right here in my car. She said, it's right here. She said, this is from Marjorie Hinckley. She said, the way to get through life is to have a sense of humor and realize that you can't do everything at once. You have to take it as it comes. And then I also loved Sister Sharon Eubank. She said, if you feel the light of your testimony is dimming and your hat rack is feeling too heavy, remember, you do not have to be perfect, but you do have to be moving forward. And that would be one piece of advice I have, is like, I love the analogy of staying on the bike from this talk with Elder Uchtdorf, and also flying, where if you just sit there and you're wallowing in that hard space, I really don't feel like at any moment you're going to be like, okay, I just feel better right now. And you do have to go through that hard space and sit with it, of course. But I will never forget actually just sitting on my bed and listening to Tony Braxton's Unbreak My Heart when I had just broken up with a guy. And I was like, my mom came in my room and she's like, get off of your bed and go serve Annie. Get out of your room. Get out of your room and stop thinking about yourself and go and do something for someone else and start thinking about someone else's problems, because you are so blessed. You can go and you can go and help people. And she's so right. Like, when you that's another really cool thing, is when you stop focusing, when you just have to keep moving, like that airflow above and below the wink that
I love that.
Elder Uchtdorf was talking about. You have to keep the motion going. You have to keep the bike going. You have to put one foot in front of the other. And in those hard moments when you don't want to get up and you are wearing a hard hat, I really believe that he was right. Like, you have to just keep the motion and the momentum going in order to get through that hard hat that you're wearing.
Oh, I love that so much, Annie. I think that is half the battle. It's like keep
Yeah.
moving. And I think about kind of some of your experiences and what you just reflected on. And Elder Uchtdorf tells us how to distribute your time and energy among your many important tasks will vary from person to person and from one season of life to another. And Annie, that's so beautiful what you point out, because your burdens are not the same as my burdens, and my burdens aren't the same as Eva's burdens, and Eva's burdens aren't the same as her dear friend's burdens. And our hats we will wear depending on where we're at and our season. And the Lord's aware of that. He knows that. He knows our limitations. He knows our season. He knows our strengths. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to share. We'll be studying this soon, but in Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8, we talk about seasons of life. And so when I look at this picture and when I listen to Annie and when I contrast the 3 stages that the 3 of us are in and the hundreds of more stages that everyone listening to this is in, I'm reminded that we have a responsibility to discern what is most important in that season of our life, what needs our attention in that season of our life. And if we're going through a challenging divorce, we need to do things differently than if we're not. And if we have a child who's having a mental breakdown, we need to wear a different hat in that season of life than if that child wasn't. And so if you don't mind me just sharing just a few reminders from this beautiful scriptures in Ecclesiastes 3, to everything there is a season, a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born. And I'm going to just paraphrase, a time to plant seeds, a time to pluck. What can I get rid of in my life? What am I doing that just isn't mattering? A time to heal, a time to feel like healing, but a time to weep. There's a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get, a time to lose, a time to keep, a time to cast away, a time to keep silence, a time to speak up. You talk about that, Annie, being on Instagram. This is my time to speak up, but there will be another time to be silent, a time to love. And I just think if I could say anything upon reflecting and observing at this point in my life at 55, I think it's so important for us as we look at this picture, as we think of the hats or the spinning plates or the juggling and the overwhelm, aside from God's grace and atonement that is requisite for all we're doing, we need to remember that there's times for different hats and that there's different seasons. And the Lord never asks us to do it all at once. That is a fallacy. It brings discouragement. It brings overwhelm. And it is a road to discouragement. And so I have drawn a lot of strength from these scriptures and also from Elder Uchtdorf's talk that, we're in different seasons of life. And these seasons depend on different people, but that our objective is to remain constant and consistent and to do what Annie pointed out, to keep moving, to keep following the light, to keep putting one foot in front of each other, but to every so often step back and maybe decide, this doesn't matter in the big picture. I'm spending too much time on something that doesn't matter. And I think that's our great challenge as women, especially living this day and age, are the distractions. So I love these scriptures in Ecclesiastes, and they have brought me great strength because I'm in a really unique season of my life even now, and it's going to look really different in 10 months when I get home. And I'll wear a different hat than I am right now. But to every time there is a season. And it's okay if you're in the season of mourning, and if a child's doing something that's breaking your heart, or if your life doesn't look the way you wanted it to. And it's okay if you're in a time to embrace a new something, painting, art, a new profession, back to school. Maybe it's a time to keep something close, but maybe it's that time to get rid of something, to lose something that hasn't been working in your life. Those are scriptures we can refer to often and remind ourselves, life is about seasons.
And it's okay because he is with us. And I think
Always.
that is like so beautiful what you both shared in both of those examples. I think, cleaning the goldfish out of your car, Jesus is right there with you. So going back to that, I think so often we can like get caught up, that we're only building the kingdom if we're just religious, if we're doing religious work. That's the only way to build up the kingdom. And that is not true. The way we build up the kingdom is by having him with us and then doing whatever we're going through life, whatever, picking up, the goldfish, changing diapers, wiping the counters in our kitchen, folding laundry. He is with us in those moments, and that's why they can be so beautiful if we think of it as glimmers, right? If we think, oh, it's his presence, he's with me. And because Jesus is with me in this hard and difficult time, or lovely and peaceful, wonderful time, all those times, all the tapestry of life, right? It is beautiful because he is there. If we just allow him to comfort our hearts and to help and strengthen and empower us, that's what makes all those seasons beautiful, because it's his presence that magnifies and strengthens at the same time.
Oh, Eva, I love that. And back to motherhood specifically, since this is the month of motherhood, and I feel so passionate. It is the most holy work we can be doing. So, like you said, he is with us in the crumbs. He's with us vacuuming out whatever it is. This is holy work. This is the holiest work on any scale, whatever you're doing. If you are focusing on building these little people, whether they're your own, whether they're someone else's, this is the holiest of work. You think about our theology. We have a theology based on family. I mean, what is our core belief? That we have heavenly parents, that we are sons and daughters of heavenly parents. Our goal about becoming and moving, like Annie said, is to become more like them. It is such an important part of our faith. And so this is what it's all about. The little mortal things that we're doing is the holiest work because of our theology, because we are our sons and daughters. We are known through all of it.
It's so true. I love what you guys are both saying, and I feel like too, there's just that hat of maybe trying to put down motherhood, and like, I don't know. I just remember I I, I do have, groups of whatever friends or little comments that I get where it's like, I don't know. I look at motherhood so differently now that I have been a single mom, and it's like that time I hold them like so tenderly. I really do. And I know that like I have to just, and it happens so fast. Rebecca, and I'm sure Eva too, like I have a kid in high school now, and it's so weird. Like literally he
Mhm.
grew 6 inches in a year, and I was just like, this happens so fast, and life is so fast. And we just have to make sure. I'm so glad, Rebecca, that you reminded me of using that discernment to decide, like, is this really what I need to be doing right now? Is this really what my focus should be? And Rebecca, it could have been so easy for you to say to whoever offered you your mission call, like, hey, I have kids getting married. How many grandkids have you had now since you've been out? Like four or five
We
or
will have
something?
11 in 2 months. We will have had 7 grandkids born while we've been out.
7 grandkids.
Mhm.
See, she could have been like, sorry, I need to be here for my kids, right? But she is there for all those other kids in Colombia, and it's like I just think it's amazing. I think that's such a good reminder because we have so much on our plates. There's so many plates in the air, like Rebecca said. I think if we can truly use the Lord to show us which path we are supposed to be on, even in that day, even on that drive, I have had so many experiences where I'm like, I am so grateful. And right? Don't you think the days where
Mhm.
you're like, and when I'm becoming too grumpy and I'm just becoming worn down. I love in this talk where he's like, if you're feeling that way, then I don't know how he worded it, but it was so good. But it's basically like, then you're not doing it for the right reasons because you need to go to
Mhm.
the Lord. And sorry, I know we're running out of time, but I could talk about this forever. But I think it's as long as we stay in line with the Lord and we use that discernment to decide which hats we're supposed to be wearing that day or even in that minute. I really, I'm Rebecca, that was actually so, I'm really inspired by that. So I thank you so much for letting us be here, Eva. I have really, really enjoyed this. I wish I could do this every day. You guys are
Annie,
so amazing.
I have to say one more thing because you're in the stage and I feel so strongly about where you're at and parenting. And I think we live in a day and age where people are discouraging of motherhood and I've lost
Yes,
myself in motherhood. That's not a thing. You don't lose yourself in motherhood. The Lord provides this opportunity for us to become more like our heavenly Father and our heavenly Mother. It is a gift. It is a
so
priority.
true.
And like you said, time slips quickly. So evaluate your season. Am I in a season to be planting? Yes, I am. I'm planting seeds that will produce forever. And so I love what you're saying. I remember daily, and I still do, pleading with the Lord every moment. every morning using Christ's enabling power to help me discern where I needed to be that day. And if you are righteous and if you want that, the Lord loves his children more than anybody. He will help you to know where to be, what to get rid of, what to say no to, and where to show up. And I just have to finish with my testimony because I'm like you. I know we're out of time and we could go on. And I love quotes like Annie does. I have them everywhere. But President Nelson reminds us, to whom or to what will I give my life? And if you're going to start your day in any way, to whom or to what? Am I building God's kingdom? Is it my children? Is it the missionaries today? But if you're saying children, whether it's your own or someone else, every day, as well as Jesus, you will never go wrong. You will be blessed. It is the most holy choice you can make on a daily basis.
Wow.
Love that.
We could go on forever. This is amazing. We just have to do it again. We're gonna do this again.
Oh, I love you. I love
you guys are just so much fun. I was thinking as you're talking about that. Yeah, send me both of those quotes. I'll put them up on the story.
Yeah, I'll send you that.
Yeah. And Annie, send
And
me
you
what
guys,
you.
she wrote that, by the way. Do you know how talented she is? She
No, I'm
scripted
not.
that.
I didn't. No, I didn't. I have a cute friend, Lindsay,
Oh,
that
you
helped
didn't?
me. No,
Oh,
I
I was
didn't.
gonna
Isn't
say,
that
I
cute?
thought that was you because you're
Isn't that
so
cute?
talented.
No, but I have a
Yeah, send us
gazillion
a
of
screenshot
these.
of it.
I know. I will. I'll send you
So
one.
cute.
I love
Yes.
you both
Thank
so
you so
much.
much, everyone.
Send us those quotes. And I
This is
love
so
the
fun.
idea of discernment because it's in the temple. I was just thinking about initiatories. It talks so much about using the spirit of discernment. It's such
You're
an
right. Thank
Yes.
you.
such an important. It could be moment to moment even. It could be like
Yeah.
literally. Should I do this right now? Should I use my time for this, Lord, or not? And it's
And
just
all day long, we can be in our car, we can be walking. It
yes.
should be a constant prayer. And I feel like it's like a muscle. I think you get better at it. I think in the beginning it's a little hard and you're haphazard and I'm not sure. And it's trial and error. We make mistakes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think, I just spent a year worrying about things that didn't matter. That's okay. That's part of the gospel.
Yeah.
We start over. We start over and we think,
Totally.
I'm getting rid of that. I'm getting rid of that. It
Well,
did not serve me or my family.
and you have to find the thing that fills your spiritual cup. Like mine is probably different than Eva's and
Yeah.
Rebecca's, but
Yeah.
like for me, I'm like, I literally have to go on a walk. I have to go to the temple. I have to go sit in a quiet room for 10 minutes. Like whatever that is that fills your spiritual cup.
I
And
love
then you
it.
can go back out to your kids and be like, okay, now I can be grateful that I'm here instead of resentful, and I think,
Thank
and
you for
Eva,
pointing that out.
because find your thing that fills your cup that makes you wear the hat in a more Christ-like way, right? That
Love
makes
it.
you enjoy it because you should be enjoying it, right?
You
And you
should
can
find the
be.
joy.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. We could go
I
on.
love you
We'll do it
guys.
again.
This
I
was
know
so
when
fun.
you're in the plane, they say put the mask on you first and then put it on the child. So
I
that
like
when you
that.
think of
You're
that
right.
moment, we must
That
fill up
is
our
true,
cup.
Eva.
So
That is true.
Thank you.
Where can
oh,
I
I
buy
love
your
you.
painting?
Love
Eva,
you
where do
so
you sell
much.
your pretty paintings? Do you sell those at Desert Book or where do you sell them?
Oh, they're also on my website, just
They
evatimothy.art.
are?
So
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
But
They're
some of
so
them are
pretty.
on Desert Book too. Oh, you're so sweet. I love that
Okay,
we
love
can
you
talk
guys.
about
Tell
Jesus.
Rebecca
Love
say
you guys. Thanks
hi.
for sharing
Thank
truth.
you.
You're amazing.
Thank
Okay. Love
you.
you.
Love you so
Bye-bye.
much. See you next
Love you
Wednesday.
guys.
Bye bye.
See
Bye.
you.